let's say that group stabilizes. You got your traction, you got some commissions coming in. One of the things we want you to consider doing is either expand the size of that group or expand by adding additional groups. I think they should be related groups. So like Chris is a retired Army, Daryl's retired Army. They could usually start off with the Princeton Industrial School for retired Army and then quickly branch off to active duty Army and then Army Reserves. Instead of saying they're called splinter groups. And the big benefit is this. What that means is all the marketing he's created, all the language patterns can be repurposed for these additional groups. In other words, he would speak to those 3 military groups, active duty, reserve, retired, using the same language patterns. Does that make sense? Okay. The other thing too I thought of is back to the first part of class, all that data, the school report, the list data, all that stuff. What we encourage you to do is to share that with your clients. Okay, this is not the kind of thing you keep yourselves. Remember, we're all about open heart sharing and giving. So when it comes to business, there's a huge benefit to sharing this type of information with our clients. And when we do, what does that do for our credibility? It goes up. This is how we build solid relationships, okay? So, let's go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and move forward to the next, case study. Hans. Hans is from your region. He lives in Clinton, but he's actually part of the Ridgewood Market Center. In any case, what I'm going to do is just cut through the chase here. First batch of booklets Hans did, netted him 3 transactions, 2 for one client, 1 for another. One of them was a family member. The reason it works so well is, as I kind of touched on this earlier, is when it comes to investors, we don't do this type of marketing, a glossy postcard thing. We eliminate that from the marketing sequence, and we go right to the heart of the relationship using this, tools and so I see some headlines. How many of you grasp that? In fact, this we call telling, blah, 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 and this we call doing. This is, hey, you can make money investing. I can help you do it. This is, I'm going to show you how with examples and tools and information. The doing part. Which one gets us higher response rates or conversion rates? Telling or doing? Every day of the week. Yep. You guys just passed your first test. Okay. Next thing is this is a workshop. And I love workshops. Okay. The concept comes from first-time home buyer workshop, right? When we apply it to investors, it turns out it can be far more prolific. And I'll give you some examples out of the real world out there. Have any of you ever been to a REIA meeting? R-E-I-A, Real Estate Investors of America? Okay, I'm a member too, and I speak for them. I teach, as a matter of fact, I'll be teaching at the South Jersey REIA group in a couple of months. Dig is in kind of south of Philly. And anybody go to the Dig group? That's it. Yeah, Diversified Investors Group, DIG. In any case, they charge a fee or a dues. We don't want to do that. Our workshop is free to the public. Everybody with me so far? No. Also, it has to be community-oriented. You always company contribution when you do this, guys. Company contribution serve first, okay? So, what that means to us is we can get rooms for free when we operate that way. We can get a room in a public library, typically free. Sometimes they charge you $50 or something. We can get a room in our church, mosque, synagogue, typically for free if you remember. We can also get a room in our municipal building. So Princeton's going to have its own municipal building. In that building will be what's called a community room, right? And in that community room is available to us citizens of that community, as long as we have a community-oriented event, okay? You can use your market center too. In fact, this room would be ideal, quite frankly. And Pete, is there a process for them to, if they want to use this like on a monthly basis, every third Thursday, something like that?
Just clear it through the front desk.
Okay. So in any case, I personally like the library for one big reason. Well, 2 reasons. Number 1, the library is a neutral site. Number 2 is, what do we think of when we think library? Shout out to
learning.
Yes.
You get walk-ins too.
Yeah. So the best ways we can market to our clients is to give them an environment, a learning environment, where we're helping them, we're serving them, we're giving them tools and techniques and information. And if you've never done an investment before, I wouldn't even worry about it, quite frankly. I used to. But we actually have students. In fact, one of our top students is Kelly O'Keefe. She's up in Denver, New Hampshire. She now does commercial, by the way. But she never invested. She never even bought her own house before. She's been doing this for 10 years, right? And if you think about it, most commercial agents don't invest themselves. Have you ever noticed that? They just earn commissions. So it's not like it's unusual, it's just a limiting mindset. Okay, so back to this. In order to prepare, it's actually quite easy. The night before, just Google real estate, and you'll get all kinds of articles and blogs and things like that. Interest rates, the new tax plan that came out this year, how does that affect us investors, things like that. Print off a bunch of copies, bring it into your workshop, and use that as your icebreaker, so you hand it out, and use that to discuss that. So you get people engaging with you, raising their hands, and talking amongst each other. We want to get them engaged right away. Does that make sense? You guys okay so far? Okay. Now, the next thing you want to remember, please, is to bring in samples of properties, just like you do in the booklet. Now, you don't have to bring in a booklet. I mean, you can if you want to, but at a minimum, definitely bring in samples of properties. Remember, active, pending, sold properties. Bring in a variety of properties, right? And also bring in some blank worksheets. Here's a real simple cash flow worksheet, by the way. So some of these are advanced, some are quite simple. So basic cash flow worksheet, real simple for rentals. And there's all kinds of information sheets you can bring in on analyzing properties like for flipping, for example, okay? So right here. So bring these forms in, and what will happen is in this room, all of your participants are going to start, you'll have them start practicing using these worksheets, learning how to use the worksheets on the sample properties, okay? Now, what does that remind us of? What did we used to do when we were children every day? It's school. Somebody said homework. I wasn't good at homework. But I did go to school, most days. So when we do that, what happens is now they're rolling up their sleeves, getting out their pens and pencils. They're working on these worksheets, asking questions, engaging. So they're demonstrating to us certain behavioral patterns. Number one is we call commitment. Would you say people willing to sit there and roll up their sleeves and take notes are showing some level of commitment? They are. They're also showing engagement. They're engaging with you and each other. But the third thing is this. They're demonstrating to us that they're willing to take action. That's the key. That's the difference between agents who just work and agents who actually earn commissions. We work with action taking. We work with action taking, right? By the way, Chris brought something up at the break. The groups of people we mentioned earlier, Darryl mentioned earlier, it's not like we figured this out ahead of time. We actually just tracked everything, is what we did, and we realized these are the top 7 groups. Contractors is actually a pretty good group. Accountants are actually not a bad group. Any lawyers in the room? There's one, okay. So lawyers were not like in the top group, but they do invest, okay? Lawyers do invest. In any case, we now know, we can look at them and say, why would they make such good groups? What are certain character traits about them? And one of them is, as teachers, quite frankly, they need to be good custodians with their money, because they don't make as much as what does. But the reality is, would you say teachers are really interested in building more wealth and income for themselves? Because they had a teacher salary? Yay, I want to give you a big higher class. So, my whole family, teachers, preachers, and military. That's our family. And both grandmothers, 2 uncles, my mom, my first wife, my permanent wife. And now I finally think the Lord that I'm a teacher too. Right? I wish I'd have done this when I was in my 20s. I was too caught up in like building the empire. You know what I'm saying? Building the empire. And I finally realized, well, you know what? You got to just let go. Just let it go. Let the empire build you. Right? And when I did something called ABA years ago. Keller used a profile sort of testing. We'll call it ABA. Now we use something else.
KBA.
Yeah. And what it said to me is I should either be a regional director or a trainer. And I figured that one out. But in any case, they wanted me to initially be an OP because I did the merger with Washington Market Center. And I looked at it and I said, well, the reason I did the merger is I didn't want to manage anymore. Entrepreneurs, who's the entrepreneur red bloods in the room here? We love building things, we just don't like managing to do it. We want to build the business, we just don't like manage it. I thought, well, regional director sounds a lot like management. I think I'll do the training thing. Right? And it's, I'll tell you, to this day, me joining KW is one of the best business decision I ever made. And not just in financial terms, but in terms of networking, being able to teach. In fact, how many of you would like to be a teacher at some point? We need teachers. We really do. Take train the presenter, take train the trainer. I promise you, the world will reward you for serving others. Okay? All right, so back to this. Back to the workshop. My first workshop had grown to 78 people in 5 months. The librarian came up with her calendar, she said, you got 78 people, capacity 75, you have to get another location after tonight, which I did. But up to that point, how much money had I spent on this technique? Almost free, a little bit of paper, right? Almost free. Now, we also learned some other things, so if you could please write a few things down here. People like having that small group discussion format. Would you agree? Most people love that. So I stumbled across this. When this thing grew and it was just little old Gary Wilson up here, I thought I've got to do something so I can maintain some organization. So I broke the group, the 78 people, into groups. This group will talk about flipping, buying rentals, managing rentals, wholesaling, landlord-tenant issues, finance, rehab. The list goes on and on. And I would look for volunteers to come and sit at those individual tables. Like, what's your first name? Mark. Mark?
Mark.
Mark, I'm sorry, Mark, thanks. So when you turn 29, your hearing goes? You forget how old you are. So Mark, I would ask Mark to please be the table leader at the table for people wanting to flip homes, right? Now, I just want to feel like I knew him and could trust him. My only criteria was really, technically speaking, that he just did some kind of a transaction, like a flip or a rental. But let's say Natalie wanted to flip a home. Probably you'd go to Mark's table, right? If he only had done one flip, is that necessarily a bad thing? It's actually pretty good because it means he's one away from you. Does that make sense? So the bond, like you're more comfortable. Now, when people are more comfortable, they're more likely to start taking action. They are. So what happens when you have a workshop like this, guys, and some of you will want to go on and build your own RIA group, and I have helped 3 different people launch their own RIA group over the Lake Albuquerque, Riverside, California, in any case, right now we just want you to start small in your community with a nonprofit group, okay? My group leveled, it's about a year later, it leveled off at 200 people. And I was getting between 6 and 8 transactions a month from that technique, okay? Which sounds pretty good. We have people doing better than that. What happens is, it's a momentum builder, so you want to do this every month, same, like third Thursday every month, something like that. I always did 7 p.m. That's what worked for me. What happens is you'll be able to identify what we call the early adapters. Because they'll tell you, they're going to raise your hand and say, I want to do this, I'm ready to start now, what do I got to do next? Early adapters. And then you got the other group who are waiting to see what the person next to them is going to do. We call them the followers, all right? Now, eventually you can get the followers to take action. And the way you do it is to spend more energy on the early adapters. Get them up and running, get them in the first duplex or first slip. Because what will that tell the followers? I should probably do it, yeah. And by the way, in the human experience, which group would you say gets the most goodies out of life? Early adapters, every time. You know, they seem like we're cowboys and we're risk takers, all this kind of stuff. But we actually, smart people, like you guys in the room here taking class, mitigate risk by coming to class and getting educated. And spending money on yourselves and investing in yourselves and your own training. There's lots of great training for the new folks in Canada. Guys, we win awards every year, every single year. And not just in real estate, across industries, okay? So, anyways, back to this. What we learned is this. It's actually better for new agents to the program to focus on a niche group when you're first starting. So niche group of people with a common interest. Could be vocation, hobby, lifestyle, ethnicity, language spoken, whatever it is God gives you. It's not meant to be suppressed. It's meant to be expressed. In terms of business, that means we can build a group around ourselves. So what's your first name?
Tahira.
Tahira?
Yes.
Yeah, former teacher, right? You still teach now, or?
I did.
Oh my gosh, okay. Are you wanting to stay there or do this at the same time, or what's your heart telling you?
My heart is saying go full-time, hour-wise, in the next 2 years.
How about the next year?
Yeah.
Come on. There you go. It's possible. It's not only possible, it's probable. Many people have done it. And I did it in 18 months, but I was able to leave my job in 6 months. I just was too chicken to do it. Right? It took me another year to get the guts to actually say, I don't have to work anymore. In any case, I'll give you some examples. Around the U.S. and Canada, we've helped students create groups and investors for runners, musicians, photographers, nurses, teachers, every kind of group you can possibly imagine. In fact, let's do this. I want to keep you guys engaged. Please write down a group of people that you feel connected to, or you would like to connect with. In terms of business, who would you really, if you could pick your ideal client, and there was a lot of them, what group? Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry?
Mompreneurs.
Mompreneurs, there you go. I love it. Well, I got a good example for you. Okay. Does anybody here feel like you're struggling with coming up with a group, to identify a group? You guys all okay? So go ahead and write a group down. The reason is some of you are going to follow through with this, and I'll help you actually get your group up and running, okay? In fact, I'm literally right next door in the Pennsylvania region, and Tom and Darryl will tell you, if I'm in the area and I see that you're putting on a workshop, as long as I know in advance if I'm in the area, just tell me, I'll come to your group. I'll stand there for 5 minutes if you want and get them interested in investing, and then you can take it from there. I don't ask anything for it, and quite frankly, if I don't do that, I'm going to sit in a hotel room. I'm going to do with you guys, okay? How many of you, show of hands, actually did write down a group? Let me ask that question. Good guys, okay, good group. All right, can I give you an example to help drive things home? What's your first name?
Sherry.
Sherry. Thanks for bringing it up. Mompreneurs. I had a student call a while back. She was single mom. I didn't know this at first, but she said, I want to do the workshop. I hear people discuss it every week on the webinars. Sounds great. And I said, well, wonderful. She was a new agent. I knew she needed clients fast. Like, how many of you need clients fast? Well, take notes on this one. Yeah, silly question for a real estate officer. How many clients? Any case, I asked her what she was doing prior to real estate, taking some kind of vacation I could tap into. And she said, Gary, I never worked outside the house. I got my license because I got to raise my children by myself now. And I said, fair enough. What about a hobby? She said, Gary, I got 4 children. I'm changing diapers. And I didn't say this thing, but I was thinking, I don't know if I can create the Hampton Investors Forum for diaper changes, right? So I said, let me pray on it. I called him on. And all that long, guys, all I kept hearing was single mom, single mom. I was raised by a single mom at the time I was 8 years old. So I called her the next day and I said, Leslie, I think you should create the Hampton Investors Forum for single moms. I see, she got it right away. She got it too. How many of you got that one? Powerful group. What is the single moms do a good job of supporting each other and bonding and connecting and all that? And what do they do when they get together on weekends? They drink. You know what they started doing? They started forming play dates. So it was one of the mom's idea. Let's just do this. We started a group of 32 people in the second month. And they said, we'll stay with the kids. You take those moms out and we'll switch the next time. Is that a cool idea or what? Not a great idea. Talk about community service. By the way, she got her first listing in the second month too. It was at 8lex. And she sold it fast, right? 8lex was the last one. And so now she's in the game. She's making money. She's got clients. And then she called a few months later. Of course, every story has its peaks and valleys, right? She said, I think I messed up. That guy's not calling me back. The guy wrote the 8lex. And I said, well, Leslie, she called about 12 times. I said, 12 is the number. Just let it go. I said, you got to serve other people. In fact, for the newer agents, when you find yourself going through the cycles, you'll hit like a slump. It's just going to happen. We all go through it. And remember, successful people get back on the horse, right? Don't ever give up. I promise you. I've seen more people succeed in this business just simply because they didn't give up, right? In any case, I said, what I told her, said, just lift up somebody else and I'll lift you up too. The magic thing, how it works for us. The guy did call her back, by the way, and he told her when he sold the 8lex, he went back to his home country. His parents were there, they're elderly. He wants to go back and live with them. And he said, you did a great job with the 8lex. Do you think you can sell 52 more units? But does that happen every day? Let's be realistic here. Does it happen every day? But who does it happen to?
People that give up.
Yes, people who get in the game swinging the bat. At some point, you got to say, Pete, I'm ready to get out of the stands. I want to get down the field. Please pitch me the ball. All right? And get yourself in the game and start swinging. That's how we learn. You know, that's why Darryl, it takes guts to be a group, believe me, because I used to stand up here and shake like a leaf, right? So eventually, Tom, for Darryl to get up here and do this, second time out, it takes guts. So give yourself permission to realize your greatness, because you already are great. You are wonderful, lovely, beautiful, and worthy, and valuable. Okay? Let the world know it. Does that make sense, guys? And a workshop is a really awesome way to do it. By the way, how many of you like the show of hands here, who likes the idea of a workshop? All right, let me ask you a question. We've done this enough times now, we've got really good at it as far as how it's mechanically administered. Who here, show of hands, would feel a lot better about doing a workshop if you did it with somebody else? You're the teacher raising your hand. So if you think about it, you could be up in front of the room speaking to people, and you could be going around the table helping them fill out forms. People love that, don't they? They love that dual, because you might have different disc profiles. You might resonate with some people, and you might resonate with different people. Does that make sense? But plus, it helps you, it gives you confidence when you do it with someone else. Right. I want to show you a case study. I'm not sure which one they gave me, but actually, let's do the commitment test first. Now, this one's from Pete. Okay? Pete, do you like workshops? Do you do the workshop?
Sure.
All right, let's do this one for Pete. Let's say you all do a workshop every month for the next 12 months, and you average 25 people. Now, in the real world, it generally will start smaller, and it'll grow over time. But for the exercise, let's just say 25 people show up 12 times over the next year. From your heart, please write down, or this is you gotta do fast from your heart. How many transactions do you believe you're going to get from this technique over the next 12 months? And write that number down. Everything starts in the heart. What happens is you can already control your thoughts to a degree. But when you start in here, what happens is you take your management of your mind to a higher level, and it kicks in and helps you get the education and the information and the action steps and decision points. It's just like being in the flow. Athletes call it being in the zone. Okay? Being in the zone means you got to stop thinking so much, right? Actually, there is a formula for success. Let's write this down and then we'll move on. The formula for success is this. Number one is you definitely have to have education, the right education. Okay? You don't want to wing it in this world because you'll miss opportunities to make mistakes, right? So the right education. The second variable is the right information. And the really neat thing about the right education is it shows you how to get and use the right information. Kind of neat how it works. Now, the third variable, we all just mentioned it about 5 minutes ago, the third variable requires us to take action. That's it. That's what separates everyone else from everybody in here who's going to be succeeding. Okay? All right, case study. Let's see what they get. I'm going to see if I can remember the names. Beth Arnold, Manish Nudikar, Tanya Smithers. Smithers. Oh, there you go. Thank you. I almost got it. All right. They're in the Hoover, Alabama Market Center. Has anybody ever been to Hoover, Alabama before? It's about a half hour west of Birmingham. We have a market center there, and we also have a Mercedes plant there, which is really important. Because by the end of this year, I'm going to give my car to my youngest daughter, who's turning 16, and I need a new car, and my son just took a job with Mercedes. I'm like, I think I feel a daddy discount. So, any case, all right. Their first workshop was March of 2017. They had 29 registrants, and 24 showed up. They were really good at the show rate. 4 of those participants that night said, yes, I want to do this, I want to work with you. So they signed the buyer's agency agreements, and they set themselves up for the appointments to get pre-qualified. Okay? Beth was literally showing houses the very next day. Follow where I'm going with this? Now who likes this technique? Yep. And by the way, this actually gets better. Tanya was still working in a day job, so they all 3 split their commissions. They worked the workshop together, split their commissions. In November, 8 months later, she was retiring from her day job. Okay? So remember I told you you can do this? This is not theory. This is actual practical meat and potatoes type stuff. I couldn't, they asked me to go to the celebration. I was in San Francisco teaching, I couldn't be there. But I called Beth and I said, Beth, just curious, how's that group of 29 doing? 8 months have gone by. Take a wild guess how much that group of 29 had grown to. Just shout out some numbers. 390. 390. Anyways. There's another, one of our agents, matter of fact, he used to be our number 1 agent in KW, Kava, he's down in Northern Virginia. I met him at my regional ALC. I went from my Market Center ALC to the regional ALC, and Kava was part of that too. And we both had a lot in common, working with investors, doing a lot of bank loans, things like that. And we were talking about our workshops, and I said, yeah, I got like 200 people. He said, oh, don't worry, you'll do better. I said, wait, he says, I got 600. I'm like, Lots of success stories with this. Okay, what I want to do now, guys, is this. So far, we've learned a couple techniques. One is direct response marketing. The other one is directly in front of people, marketing, to build up a database. Really important concept. You get buyers and sellers. I mean, investors mostly will be buyers. What I want to do now is shift gears and focus on how do we get some inventory by going under the radar screen. Is that okay to do that? Okay. You guys like this stuff so far?
Yeah.
All right. Please write in your notes, bank tracker. Bank tracker.
You said you drew to the 600 any database control, seminar for still at 25,
Oh, no,
archives.
Calvin, he told me even when it snows, 200 people show up. Yeah. So we use certain techniques. So you'll have your big database, and then within that database, you'll have people that will be part of your workshop routine. They're not all going to show up every single month, but our show rate is about 65, 66%. Correct. Yeah. It's repeat clients. Yeah. And I didn't even. When I first did my workshop, guys, I didn't even bring in food. But the third meeting out, somebody asked me, can I bring some cookies next time? So I came home, told my wife, so this workshop's really working out. Somebody actually wants to bring cookies. She said, Gary, I think they're trying to tell you something. So, oh, by the way, I did start adding in guest speakers every third month. Attorneys, lenders, insurance, contractors, appraisers, really good for the flippers, and housing inspectors. Those are probably the top 6. Not every single month, but not every third month I bring in guest speakers. And I didn't get anything out of that. What I said was, I want you to add value to my clients, and if they contact you, you can present your stuff in the meeting, and if they want to do whatever your thing is to do, being a lawyer, being a bank, whatever, I don't mind at all, as long as you do a good job. If you keep doing a good job, I'll keep bringing you back. Make sense? Okay. Yes, ma'am.
The case study that was shown, they did say the guest speaker did great. That was their first, correct?
Yeah, they brought in what happened is they got a lender and to help them share some of the cost. They brought food and everything. They really, I'm going to tell you what, food is actually, it sounds so simple, but believe it or not, it's actually kind of an important thing. Anything you can do to make people feel special. Make people feel special. Because you know what? They are special. Right? So, okay. I'm going to show you this.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, sir.
Can I throw a little tidbit out there right quick?
Yes, sir.
In reference to that workshop?
Yeah.
When I hold my workshop, I always try to get a sponsor, a finance, a lender that I'm working with. And I tell them, hey, would you like to come talk to my group? And I'll ask them to just bring something. And so if you have someone that you're working with, invite them and let them bring the food for you.
Yeah. I always give a person a shot. I always give them an opportunity. And if they do well, they can keep coming back. Okay? Okay, bank tracker, it is a .org. Just remember the email is going to have all these links. This in particular, you get the enter key, it gives you a screen that lets you plug in a bank name. Right in that little box right there. Here, I'll walk on. Any bank name you want goes right there. There's 2 links. One is for credit unions, and one is for traditionally chartered banks, okay? I'm trying to lead my way through the backwards. Said you did this at boot camp at some point. Walk backwards through some obstacles. Yep. So in any case, when you do that, hit the enter key, you're going to get a chart on that bank that looks something like this. The gold bar tells you if they have what's called non-performing assets. Layman's terms, loans that are in default. So these folks have received notices of default, NODs. All right? Now, American University created this back around year 2000. They were predicting the economic downfall long before CNN ever was. The thing is they get their data from government sources. Like banks have to report. I used to be a banker. We have to report regulatory stuff in banking is beyond anything else almost. So, yeah, we have a former attorney in the banking world, right? You said you were in banking in Wall Street. Sorry.
Me?
Yeah.
Well, no, I work for a pension fund.
Pension fund.
In-house.
See, now they're heavily regulated.
Absolutely.
Heavily regulated. So in any case, turns out we get to see all this for every bank we want. Now, what I want you to focus on, please write this down. I know some of you will be tempted to want to work with the big banks, the big asset managers, and I did too. I've worked with them, but I will tell you that they make it quite difficult. See, big banks like Bank of America sell the mortgages, okay? And as a result, FHA, they have to follow the FHA underwriting rules. One of those rules is if you have a foreclosure, you have to have an asset manager dispense of that non-performing asset, right? If any of you ever worked on a REO transaction before, foreclosure transaction, remember those giant 40-page Fannie Mae addendums? I used to sell for all of them, including how to have a big account hook, and I got rid of them all because they treated me like a dog. By the way, all that gray hair, that's where they come from. Well, this half came from the banks, this half came from the tenants. But I learned to really dislike them because number one, they take a referral fee for everything you do, and sometimes it's pretty sizable. And they also, every day, take more pictures, do more reports, and beat you to death. Turns out, the small banks also have foreclosures. Here's what I want you to write down. Community bank, small bank, 1 branch, 5 branches, 3 branches, community-oriented bank. They engage in what's called community banking. That's what we call community banks. They also engage in community lending. So that branch manager in that community bank is actually responsible for the loan portfolio in his or her community. Now, they might have a central place, but maybe one of the 5 branches is also the headquarters, right? But just know this, when you go into get a loan at one of those branches, you're going to meet probably the branch manager. Probably, okay. Now, they also are more likely to participate in what's called portfolio lending. Has anybody heard that term, portfolio lending? So portfolio lending means that you don't sell your mortgages on the open market. See, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, they package up their mortgages and they sell them and put them on the market. We can invest in them. Thus, we can invest in Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and all those, okay? Small banks or portfolio lenders do not sell mortgages. What that means is when it comes to foreclosures, they don't have to have an asset manager. They can do that. Some of them do actually, right? We're more interested in the banks who are portfolio lenders. They're easy to find out because every bank has to disclose whether or not they sell mortgages. Have any of you wanted to get a mortgage lately, last year or so? With a small bank, did you ever give that disclosure that says we sell 25% of our mortgages or 50% or 75%? They legally have to disclose that. Or you can eliminate the wheat from the chaff by focusing on the banks or portfolio lenders. Okay, everybody clear so far? Which banks do we want to work with? Good, did a good job. Okay, now, let's assume we're in a branch, and all the tellers are over here, and that's the manager stores over there. Should probably be the opposite, 2 tellers and 5 managers, right? I always wonder, how do banks make money because there's so much overhead? Well, if I have time, I'll explain it to you, but the bottom line is this. I'm going to give you a script, and the script is what's called an in-person script, which means you have to deliver this in person. Not over the phone, no emails, nothing in the mail. So, we're looking for the person in charge. Who in that branch will say above the door, branch manager, vice president, whoever that is, okay? The trick is to approach them directly, so they have to actually be there and available. Now, here's their script. Is everybody ready for the script? Okay. First things first, always professional introduction. Hi, I'm Gary Wilson. I'm a realtor in the area, your name, of course, right? And by the way, dress, I would probably not wear a suit, but I would probably wear dress slacks and a button-down shirt. Summertime, I might even have the sleeve rolled up a little bit. For women, lots of variety, you got all kinds of things, just you be comfortable. Whatever you wear, make sure you feel good about yourself when you're wearing it. You go do this, okay? Business cap. Okay, hi, I'm Gary Wilson. I'm a realtor in the area, not an official disclosure. It's a professional courtesy to let them know who you are and why you're there. Now, you got to get through this next part somewhat quickly. You're going to say, and I have clients who are interested in properties just like yours. I have clients who are interested in properties just like yours. Now, would you agree owner-occupants want a good deal just like investors do? They sure do, yeah. And as long as you have 2 people on your database, now you have to be legitimate. You shouldn't do this unless you actually have some clients who are in the game ready to buy something, okay? So, I have clients interested in properties just like yours. Now, at this point, we just raised their guard. We just told them, I'm an agent, I've got clients, okay? We're going to lower the guard very quickly with this statement. I'm gonna demonstrate this for you. You're gonna say, I just wanna sell one. And literally hold up the finger, the right finger, not each finger. I just wanna sell one. Okay? Now, what happens is that lowers the guard, okay, because we're like, what it throws them off balance is what it does. And then we go into what we call the pitch mode, which is 3 sentences, okay? First sentence is, so let's do one together. So let's do one together. We call that a presumption action. We're going to be presumptive. Let's do one together. And when you like the results, we do use the word when because it's more powerful than if, okay? And by the way, that statement is called implication. So presumption followed by implication, all right? Now, let me get back up here. The third statement is a verbal command that involves some body language. And body language is what drives it home. So I want to make sure you're looking up here so I can demonstrate this for you. So you just said 3 sentences in the pitch. So let's do one together, and when you like the results, then perhaps we can do more. Now, I don't really dramatize that, but the point is arm out, palm up, stepping towards the person you're speaking to. Who did I just give control of the conversation to? It's pretty obvious, right? And what does that person have to do?
Make a decision.
Yep.
Take it in or not.
It's actually auto function or subconscious. We can't help it. When somebody does that, we've got to respond. The trick is for us agents is they go like that. Otherwise, we'll just keep on talking, right? Now, half the time you're going to say no, guys. It's just part of the business, right? We don't have to like the no's. We just should try to get used to it. Every time you get a no, that means you're one less no away from getting a yes. Matter of fact, there's actually a great book on this called Going for No's. Anybody read that? Going for No's. Yeah. Great book. I don't really advocate going for no's. I want to go for the yeses. I just know that when I get some no's, the yes is closer to it, right? Now, what are they going to say the other half of the time?
Yes.
Or something other than no. Sometimes you'll get some yeses, not very likely. However, what you will get is something like this. What's your first name? Fatima. Let's say I'm talking to Mark. He's the branch manager. He'll say, you know what, you got to talk with Fatima. She's the attorney on the board and enters our proposals. And I'm okay with that because the response did not include the word no, right? Which means the script worked. You follow what I'm saying? We got the door. All we're doing here, guys, is getting the open door to the right person, to Fatima. Does this make sense? All right. One more piece. This is how we capitalize on this. Excuse me. Remember the old acronym? Who, what, where, when, how? You know, WWWWH. If you could go ahead and write that down, it'll help your recall function. So what I'll do is this. Is I'll say, well, Mark, who is Fatima? Where is Fatima? How do I contact Fatima? What's Fatima's contact information? When's the best time to contact Fatima? Now, you want to make it conversational, obviously, but the point is you want to get all that information so that you now have yourself an appointment with the right person who will deal with you, helping you get some of the listings. Is everybody with me so far? Anybody have questions on the script there? Short, sweet, to the point. What's interesting is I wasn't a branch manager. I was in corporate banking. I knew a lot of branch managers, and I will tell you, they're busy, right? They're getting hit from all sides, and when they have this type of stuff here, it ain't pretty, right? They don't like that stuff. By the way, thanks for the data people just sent me with the email. The good news is, well, not good news for the consumers, good news for us agents since you want to work on these transactions. You actually have them right there, out there right now. I forget the count, like 456 or something.
Yeah.
Pretty good number, guys. So they're out there. Don't let the news steer you wrong. In fact, my suggestion is turn that TV off. Okay? Turn off the TV, open up a book, and turn on your mind. Okay?
Sorry, what was the third sentence? Sorry.
Then perhaps we can do more. And a little bit of a body language. You don't want to be too bold about it because that could freak them out. but just gently step forward and roll out your hand like that, and they'll know they're receiving the control of the conversation. Now, good news is, with a small local bank, there's likely going to be like a one-page addendum or a one-page disclosure, right? Because it's a pre-foreclosure or foreclosure. But quite frankly, you get to use your own listing forms, the board forms, your own listing forms from your office. The only real difference, quite frankly, is the fact that the person you're dealing with is a business person. That's it. Show of hands here, who'd like to have more business people in your business? Yay, all the veterans are always like, give me more, it's easier, isn't it? So when we talked about the 7 groups earlier, some of them are professionals, some are business owners, some are some combination of them, right? But they've all had professional training, and they're all used to, executing things and looking at things in terms of business. When an investor looks at investing like this, I promise you, they're going to get better results, and so will you. In fact, do you think engineers will be drawn to this type of investing, for example? Engineers? Heck yeah, this looks chaotic to them. This looks organization, structure, growth. Okay. All right, let's do this, guys. Let's do a commitment test, and we'll take a break and grab some food. So, how much does this technique cost us?
$0.
This is completely free. Over the gas and some shoe leather, okay? Now, would it be reasonable for me to ask you to visit, each of you visit just one branch a week in the next year? And you took 2 weeks off, so you visit 50 branches. Does that sound like a reasonable request? So here's the commitment test. I want you to imagine you visit 50 branches this next 12 months. From your heart, please write down how many commissions you believe you're going to get from this technique. So go ahead and write. Go ahead and write that down. Okay? And as soon as everybody writes down a number, I'm going to let Pete allow us to take a 5-minute break and grab some food. So real quick, we're 1 o'clock here. I'm going to keep the class going as long as you guys are okay with that. You can just take 5 minutes, grab some food, come back and sit down. I'll keep teaching while you're eating and reading. I want you to have plenty of energy and lots of carbs going into this. You're very good for more information. Sound like a good idea? Okay, let's come back at 12:25. Does that sound fair? Okay. Last time I didn't spend 10 minutes, so I'm okay if you're okay. By the way, I'll stay up here. If anybody has questions, I don't mind talking to you.